Once in a while I get people that that claim they don't believe in evolution.
My goodness, do you, Bill? Oh, I've never heard of such a thing. Hey, stop looking at those. Wow, this needs investigating. I mean, what kind of moron knows so little about evolution that they would make such a stupid statement in a public setting with absolutely no hint of irony or intellect?
And my response generally is, why not? Really, why not?
Because evolution asserts that we all descended from fish.
Oh, that explains a lot. That's right, it's Matthew Powell and his big, dumb, stupid head. Back again to say silly things about a subject he refuses to understand, while continuing to demand that we listen to his idiotic prattle about it. And also, anyone who disagrees with him is of course lying. The irony palpable on that one. Now, the fish thing. Evolution asserts no such thing. That's not how science works. Science doesn't assert shit about anything. That's your job. No, the theory of evolution only asserts that evolution happens, which it does because we studied the world and noticed a ton of evidence for it happening. When did you notice evidence for all humans and animals being created by some guy all at once? Oh, that's right, you didn't, because that didn't fucking happen.
There is no evidence to support such a claim.
Actually, I think you'll find there is a ton of evidence to support animals evolving from all sorts of other things. You just like to pick an arbitrary point on the scale and then pretend that it sounds silly. You could say evolution says we all evolved from single-celled organisms, or from small rodent-like beings, or whatever. Wouldn't change the fact that, yeah, that would be part of the order of events. But we didn't just guess that's how that happened. And you saying there's no evidence? Well, that's what we would call a lie, Matthew. And one of these days, you're going to have to explain to your totally real God why you felt the need to do that so consistently. And frankly, whatever your explanation, why the fuck should he believe you? You're a liar, Matt. It's just kind of what you do.
We descended from Adam and Eve, 2 humans, not fish.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant. He's actually going to sit there and say that there's no evidence for, facts about reality, and then assert the most bonkers bullshit that you ever did hear the doing of. The very notion that 2 humans could spawn all of mankind is utterly ridiculous for so many reasons, including but not limited to the genetic diversity would be fucked. Population numbers that we have a pretty firm grasp on would make no fucking sense. The very notion of it demonstrates that you have no idea what the hell you were talking about. What a surprise.
We've even discovered remains of humans that existed thousands of years ago.
Oh no, that goes against evolution, doesn't it? No, wait, the other one. What a thing to bring up for your side, because, yeah, not just thousands of years ago, but tens and even hundreds of thousands of years ago. It's almost like humans have been around for longer than, how old did you think the universe was again? All right, about 6,000. When you say it out loud, it kind of makes you sound like a fucking moron.
And we've found that they were much more fit than humans are today.
Fit? What the fuck do you mean by fit? Fit to what? Fit doesn't mean healthy or like buff in this context. It means they fit a niche. And yet, as a rule, so long as a species isn't going extinct, then it probably fits a niche for itself. But, well, it looks to me that humans currently are fitting the fuck out of their niche. Kind of wish they would stop. Also, if you do mean buff or healthy or whatever, then why exactly are humans living longer today than they ever have before? That's a bit strange, isn't it? I mean, really, the only it going on is you being full of,
What that means is that we are devolving. We started out with a good set of genetics at the beginning.
For all intents and purposes, there is no such thing as devolving. Things change over time. Any change is evolution. Unless you could literally reverse the change like some sort of fucking genetic time travel, it's all just evolution in various directions. And it certainly has nothing to do with the goodening of genetics. And on that note, I also would like to know where you're getting this good genetics idea from. What does that even mean? Weird that you would claim such a thing and not even attempt to demonstrate it. Almost like you know that it's bollocks.
And we have degraded since.
The only degradation I can see is one of the brains of creationists. I mean, I have been doing this for years, and yet you guys aren't getting any smarter, and seemingly only ever more ridiculous.
Your world just becomes fantastically complicated when you don't believe in evolution.
What part of believing that we descended from apes makes our worldview less complicated?
Because when you decide to believe things that aren't true, you have to do a bunch of mental gymnastics in order to justify it. And you have to make videos about science communicators calling them dishonest while being the one that actually tells all the falsehoods. Basically lying about people lying while being the biggest liar of all. Yeah, that's not complicated at all, Matt.
Teaching young ones that they evolved from primates will cause confusion in their lives.
Well, yeah, teaching them they evolved from something that they f***ing are is very confusing because it's wrong. But I suppose if you didn't say it in a stupid way, like, did humans evolve from earlier forms of primates, then why would that confuse them at all? Because B, it's a fact. If taught properly, that's not going to be particularly confusing. I think Matt is just telling on himself here, in that, well, I find it confusing, cause me am stupid piece of shit. Well, the thing is, most kids are far smarter than you, Matt, so they have no problem understanding that stuff. Maybe you should have finished school, eh? Or, at least kindergarten.
It makes certain people feel subhuman when you tell them that they're nothing more than an evolved rat.
Not evolved from a rat, that's a different species, dumbass. And if telling a human that they are a human and humans evolved from a different type of animal, and that makes them feel subhuman, that means they're a fucking idiot. Or they are being deceived by a creationist preacher who is desperate to make sure that people don't actually know facts about reality because it makes their strongly held beliefs sound kind of dumb.
But telling a child that God loves them and that they were created in His image,
that won't confuse them at all. It certainly won't lead to umpteen gajillion competing ideas about how He does that, or that the one you like isn't real or is the devil, and that his opinions on things are this or that or the other completely different thing. No, everyone will believe the same correct thing because you'll be able to prove that, unlike the, factual things that are confusing for some reason, even though they are the things that make sense.
will help them to thrive and to succeed in life.
Maybe, maybe not. It all depends on who they are as a person. Some people, that shit works for them, which is whatever, I don't really care. But many people, it does not, especially dependent on which of the bajillion versions it is. But the thing is, plenty of people don't need it at all. Some of them even start with the nonsense, and then they figure out that it's nonsense, and then it ends up as all kind of the same to them, at least how they ultimately feel about it. So either people need it or they don't, and it would seem to me that they just kind of don't. Even the people who think they do, well, I would bet there's almost certainly a way to get them feeling the same kind of special without, making shit up.
Alright, so now he's going to try to give us some evidence for evolution.
Yeah, I'm sure he will try. Unfortunately, he's probably not going to bring the entirety of the fossil record on a big rock and then ram it down your fucking throat, so I can't imagine you'll take any of it on board.
And so he's going to rattle off a few things that he considers to be facts. Let's check them out. Let's debunk them one at a time.
You know that scare quotes don't make something not real, Matt. And anyway, I thought your lot were fine with the facts of reality, that it's just your perspective. The people who understand and accept reality have a perspective where the facts mean what they obviously mean and make sense, and your perspective is wild bullshit from old books. It must be right, despite what the facts show. It seems legit to me.
Here are these ancient dinosaur bones or fossils.
Okay, so right off the bat he mentions dinosaurs. Well, dinosaur fossils actually show us that they died recently.
No, they fucking well don't. What the hell are you talking about, Matt? And let me guess, your version of recently is still going to be vastly longer than the pitiful handful of years you think that the world has existed for. Seriously, 6,000 years is like a child's guess for the age of the universe.
Because we find dinosaur blood cells that could not have lasted for millions of years.
Let's just say that that is accurate. How long could they have lasted for, Matt? Oh, what's that? You have gone all bashful on that front because they could last a shitload longer than your stupid fucking claims, right? You know that lies of omission are still fucking lies, Matthew.
If you put some material that's biodegradable inside of an airtight jar, and then put that airtight jar in another airtight jar and in another airtight jar.
You'll have wasted more time than Matt has getting to the fucking point. Matt, if a jar is truly airtight, it doesn't matter how many other airtight jars you put it in. It's still as airtight as it was in the first place, you dumb asshole.
It doesn't matter how many times you seal something that's bioorganic. It's still going to degrade, it's still going to deteriorate.
So your brain is in multiple airtight jars, is it? It explains a lot, including where this jar labelled M, the liar brain, came from. I always thought it was M for money. No wonder I always got those funny looks when I tried to close out my tabs with endless jars of brains.
That's what we know for a fact. Those are laws of science.
That doesn't really sound like a law of science. That sounds like a weird misrepresentation of science. The fact is that science can change. We base science on what we observe. If something ends up showing that other things can happen, it will change our outlook. It changes what the science says about the thing. We don't just pretend it hasn't happened. And the fact is, even with material that we previously thought couldn't last that long, we know that it must have. So instead of just denying it or acting like all the other things we know to be pretty damned accurate suddenly aren't for no reason, we study things to figure out how they fit together instead of grabbing the nearest ancient tome and shouting, "See, I knew I was right all along."
We find dinosaur blood cells, we find nerve cells, we find DNA from dinosaurs, histones, keratin, skin pigments. The list goes on and on.
That's as maybe assuming that this is real science that got scienced, but I think you'll notice that the people who found that, who actually did the science on it, aren't suddenly saying, "Oh shit, dinosaurs must be 5 minutes old." In fact, nothing really changed about the age of dinosaurs in science. It's almost like this shit doesn't show what you think it shows.
In fact, there are 16 types of bioorganic materials that are found in dinosaur bones. They died out recently.
And remind me now, which currently professing creationist science guy discovered all this? Because it's strange, but it seems to me that these things that you are touting as concrete proof of your worldview, they are never discovered by your guys. It's almost like your lot can't do the science needed to prove this thing right. And in fact, every creationist scientist I have ever seen seems to be incapable of doing or understanding the info that would prove you guys right. It's almost like you're wrong or something.
Finding bioorganic materials in their graves suggests that they died in the recent past, not in the distant past.
If you say so, buddy, who am I to argue with you over the people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about?
Here is radioactivity.
So what he's referring to here is radiometric rock dating.
No, Matt, it's just radiometric dating, not radiometric rock dating. It can be used to date rock, sure, but also minerals and fossils and wood, groundwater, archaeological materials, among other things. The fact that you said it like that makes me think you're about to do another fib. I don't know, though. It's so rare for him to say things that aren't true.
And what I find interesting is we've never been able to accurately date a rock that we know the age of.
That is interesting. In fact, it's as interesting as it is completely false. Amazing. Dude, we have a bunch of ways of dating things like rocks. The magic part is all those methods corroborate each other. That's how we know they are accurate. The fact that you think this doesn't happen either means you know it does and you are lying again, or you're just lying to yourself about knowing anything about fucking anything.
For example, we've seen volcanoes erupt. We've seen the lava flow down the side of these mountains. The lava then turns into igneous rock. Those rocks are young, but what I find interesting is that when you send in rocks to be radiometrically tested to see how old they are, these labs will send back results indicating that these rocks formed millions of years ago.
Okay, so assuming that's true, so fucking what? Not all dating methods work for all things. That's why we have a bunch of the buggers. And the thing is, when I looked up how do we date fresh volcanic rock, you know what didn't come up as a dating method? Radiometric dating. Almost like they don't use it for that. You know, sometimes I think you are just disingenuously bringing up things that science already know about, but your audience doesn't, in an attempt to trick them into thinking that you're not completely full of shit.
It's ludicrous. Radiometric isotopes can be created in a lab, and the next day they date as millions of years old. So is radiometric dating reliable? Can it be used to date the age of the Earth?
Yes, it doesn't matter if anything you have said here is true or not. If it is, it will be accounted for. If it isn't, well, I've called you a liar enough times already to make my position clear on that. Radiometric dating is reliable when used in its proper setting. It's like saying, because wheels don't do anything when you nail them to a house, well, using them on your car, it's not going to get you anywhere, is it?
Think about that. The radiometric isotopes that we find in rocks supposedly indicate how old the rocks are. Well, if you're creating brand new ones,
then you use a different dating method that works on them properly. Again, this is like saying we shouldn't use dendrochronology when dating people. Well, no shit, Sherlock. People don't have tree rings inside them, I think. Well, to be honest, there's only one way to find out.
and their dating is millions of years old, the following day, just after you created them. Is it a rational assumption to make that rocks that contain these same isotopes can be dated accurately using radiometric dating processes?
No, Matt, because it's not a fucking assumption, you giant peen ass. It's something they have tested over and over again. You're just going to have to get over the fact that it works and they use it in circumstances where it makes sense to use it, even if it doesn't work in others. You know, the ones where they don't use it.
Absolutely not. It has a 0% success rate. Like I said, rocks of known age that we know the ages of have never been accurately dated by radiometric dating processes, and that's a fact.
No, that's a lie. Many lies, actually, much like basically every assertion you have made in this entire video. And you know what, guys? I'm starting to think that Matt Powell might not be a very honest person.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the